Ladies and gentlemen, you know what's funny? Most of us are still living by advice that was designed for a world that doesn't even exist anymore. Your parents told you, study hard, get a degree, find a stable job, save money, and you'll live happily ever after. That sounded perfect until the internet showed up and said, actually, nah. Let's be honest, the world your parents grew up in was completely different. Back then, if you had a degree, you were already ahead of 90% of people. You could walk into a company, shake someone's hand, and they'd say, welcome aboard. Now, you can have 2 degrees, 3 certificates, and still be begging ChatGPT to write your resume. See, your parents came from a world where the formula was simple. Go to school, get a job, work for 40 years, retire. But in today's world, that formula doesn't even open the file anymore. It's like trying to use a floppy disk on an iPhone. Look around you. The richest taxi company in the world doesn't own a single car. That's Uber. The biggest hotel company doesn't own any hotels. That's Airbnb. The largest marketplace doesn't own any products. That's Amazon. And the most popular university for young entrepreneurs isn't Harvard. It's YouTube. So when your parents say, get a safe job, you have to smile politely and think there's no such thing as safe anymore. Because the truth is, the only safe job left is the one where you're constantly learning new skills. The people who used to laugh at freelancers and YouTubers are now asking them how to start. The world flipped, and most people didn't notice. When your parents were your age, success was about security. You wanted to be in the same job for 30 years. That was a dream. Now if you tell someone you've been in the same job for 5 years, they look at you like you've been in jail. Let me give you a real example. When I was younger, my father used to say, find a government job, it's stable, it's safe. Now half the people with government jobs are secretly running online stores during lunch breaks because their salary can't even fight inflation. Stability is gone. The world isn't about being safe anymore, it's about being smart. Let's take another example. Your parents told you, buy a house, it's the best investment. Back then, maybe it was, but now, half the people buying houses are making money from Airbnb guests, not from living there. The new generation doesn't even dream of owning property. They dream of owning attention. Because in this economy, attention pays more than land. That's why you'll see a 20-year-old kid with 2 million TikTok followers making more in a month than your uncle, who's been in banking for 20 years. Is it fair? No, but it's the truth. The rules changed, the game didn't. It's still about value, but how you deliver value has transformed completely. And let's talk about this obsession with degrees. Your parents were right. Education matters, but not in the way they think. A degree used to be the entry ticket to opportunity. Now, it's just proof that you survived 4 years of PowerPoint slides. The real education now, it's in your pocket. It's podcasts, online courses, AI tools, YouTube tutorials. That's the new classroom. And the best part? You don't need permission to learn anymore. You just need curiosity. The world your parents lived in rewarded obedience. The world you live in rewards creativity. They were told, don't question the system. You're told, if you don't question the system, you'll be replaced by someone who did. So no, your parents weren't wrong. They were just preparing you for a world that vanished. They taught you how to survive in a safe world. But you're growing up in a chaotic one, where things change faster than your phone updates. Their advice worked in an economy built on factories. Yours runs on algorithms. Today, if you still believe success comes from following instructions, you're done. You don't need instructions. You need imagination. You don't need a position. You need purpose. And you don't need to wait 20 years for a promotion. You need to build something people notice now. Because let's be real. If you're not adapting, you're dying. If you're not learning, you're losing. And if you're still waiting for the right time, congratulations. The world just moved on without you. You know what people don't realize? Money isn't the main currency anymore. It's attention. If nobody sees you, nobody pays you. If nobody knows you, nobody grows you. 20 years ago, talent was enough. You just had to be good at something. Today, you have to be good and visible. You could be a brilliant designer, but if your Instagram looks like a graveyard, good luck. Someone with half your skill but double your courage will take the spotlight and the clients. Our parents grew up in a world where being humble meant keeping your head down and working quietly. Now, if you keep your head down, the algorithm forgets you exist. They were taught, don't show off. You have to learn, show up. And here's the funny thing. We all say we hate social media, but we check it 100 times a day. We're not addicted to apps. We're addicted to attention, because attention is energy. It's what drives every business, every creator, every opportunity today. Think about it. A girl making dance videos in her bedroom gets sponsorship deals worth more than what your cousin earns in a year. A 17-year-old gamer streams for 2 hours a day and buys his parents a house, not because they worked harder than you, but because more people watched them. Welcome to the new economy, the attention economy. And you know who understood this long before we did? Celebrities. Why do you think Elon Musk tweets nonsense sometimes? Because he knows attention keeps power alive. The more people talk about you, the longer you stay relevant. Even bad publicity feeds the algorithm. You can hate it, mock it, or ignore it, but you can't escape it. Every brand, every business, every idea is fighting for the same thing, those few seconds of your focus before you scroll away. And whoever wins that battle wins the market. But let's be real. You don't have to be an influencer or dancer to use attention. You just need to learn how to make people notice your value. If you're a designer, post your designs. If you're a writer, share your ideas. If you're a student, document your journey. Don't wait until you're perfect. By the time you feel ready, someone less talented already has your audience. This is where most people fail. They want success, but they hide. They say, I don't want to post, I'm shy. Guess what? The internet doesn't reward shy. It rewards consistent. If you show up every day, people will eventually listen. If you stay silent, the world will assume you have nothing to say. That's why today, attention is leverage. You can build a business from your bedroom if you know how to get seen. You can launch a product, a course, or a brand without a single investor if people are listening. Even investors now say, show me your audience before I show you money. And here's the wild part. Attention is free. It's the only thing you can create out of nothing. But it's also the hardest thing to keep because everyone's fighting for it. So the question is no longer, how do I make money? It's how do I keep people's attention long enough to deliver value? So yes, your parents were right when they said, work hard. But they didn't know the new rule. Work hard and let people see it. Because in your parents' time, reputation was built slowly through word of mouth. In your time, reputation is built instantly through one viral moment. It's not luck, it's visibility. So stop hiding your work. Stop waiting for someone to notice you. Show up, speak up, and let the world decide. Because in this era, the loudest wins, not the luckiest. You see, the problem today isn't that people are lazy, it's that they're using old maps in a new world. But in this era, the map has changed. You can follow every rule, every textbook, every safe path, and still end up stuck, broke, or irrelevant. So, let's talk about the new rules of success. The rules your school never taught you, but the internet keeps rewarding. Rule number 1. Learn faster than others forget. Today, information moves at lightning speed. What's trending this week becomes outdated next month. If you're not learning daily, AI, tools, contents, psychology, whatever your field, you're falling behind daily. The people winning right now aren't the smartest, they're just the fastest learners. Rule number 2, build your online presence. It's your new resume. In your parents' time, you needed a piece of paper to prove your worth. Now one good video, one viral post, one good project online, and the world knows your name. If you're not visible, you're invisible. Even the best product fails if no one knows it exists. Same goes for people. Rule number 3, have multiple income streams, not one paycheck. Your parents called it distraction. Today, it's called diversification. The internet allows you to earn from skills, content, digital products, freelancing, affiliate work, all from your phone. You don't need to quit your job, but you do need to build your second and third source of income before the first one disappears. Rule number 4, network digitally. Most people wait to meet the right person at an event. In this age, the right person might DM you on LinkedIn, comment on your video, or join your Discord. The people who know you online can open doors faster than the ones who meet you offline. You never know who's watching silently. Opportunity travels through Wi-Fi now. Rule number 5, don't wait for permission. Build something small and let the world judge it. Stop asking, will people like it? Post it, share it, launch it, learn from the reaction. In your parents' time, you needed approval. In your time, you just need Wi-Fi. That's the new reality. You don't need to be born rich. You don't need connections. You don't even need perfect English. You just need courage. consistency, and curiosity. That's how people in their 20s are creating what people in their 40s still call impossible. Everyone today says the world is changing, but most people are just watching it change, scrolling, reacting, complaining. The winners? They're the ones adapting while everyone else is still arguing about what's fair. The truth is, no one's coming to save you. Not your degree, not your boss, not the government, not luck. If you want to win in this new world, you've got to rebuild yourself faster than the world replaces you. Step 1. Accept that you know less than you think. Ego kills more dreams than failure. You can't grow if you're busy defending what you already know. Every few months, sit down and ask yourself, what do I believe that might already be outdated? That single question can save your career. Step 2. Replace entertainment with education. I'm not saying don't relax, but if you can spend 3 hours watching random content, you can spend 1 hour learning a new skill that could change your entire income. Every scroll should have a purpose. Learn something, build something, or connect with someone. If you use the internet right, it's a university. Use it wrong, it's a trap. Step 3. Use AI as your intern, not your enemy. People fear AI because they think it's taking jobs. No, it's taking tasks. If you learn to work with it, you'll do the job of 5 people in 1 day. Those who fight AI will lose to those who partner with it. Your parents had to work harder. You have to work smarter. Step 4. Stop waiting for motivation. Build discipline. Motivation is a mood. Discipline is a muscle. The new world doesn't reward those who feel like it. It rewards those who do it even when they don't. Post the video. Launch the idea. Send the email. Because while you're waiting to feel ready, someone else already did it. And now they're trending. Step 5. Find your community. The internet is full of noise, but inside that noise are people just like you trying to grow. Collaborate, don't compete. The fastest way to grow is to grow together. You don't need 10,000 followers. You need 10 real people who believe in what you're building. So how do you win in this world? By being a student of change, by learning fast, acting faster, and never believing you've arrived. Because success today isn't about who's the biggest. It's about who's the most adaptable. You know, our parents lived in a time where success meant survival. Their dream was to find stability. 1 job, 1 home, 1 life. But your generation, you were born into opportunity. Chaos mixed with creativity. They built a world of security. You're building a world of possibility. And yes, sometimes their advice doesn't fit anymore. Not because they were wrong, but because the world they prepared for no longer exists. They believed the safest road was the smartest road. But now, the safest road is often the slowest one. They believed in degrees. You believe in skills. They worked for companies. You can build one from your phone. It's not rebellion, it's evolution. The dream has changed shape, but the heart behind it is still the same. So don't get angry when your parents don't understand your path. They walked a road made of walls. You're walking one made of Wi-Fi. They wanted you to be secure. You want to be free. And both are right, because both come from love. But love doesn't mean limitation. It means you take their lessons. Hard work, sacrifice, humility, and you apply them to a new battlefield. Your parents taught you how to climb the ladder. Now it's your job to build the building. They gave you the roots. You must grow the wings. Because one day, your child will ask, should I follow your advice? And you'll smile and say, no, you should build your own. This world won't reward those who copy the past. It will reward those who create the future. And maybe your parents didn't understand the world you live in, but they raised someone strong enough to shape it. So don't just thank them for their advice. Thank them for giving you the courage to rewrite it. The world has changed, yes, but so can you. That's your real advantage. That's your real power. And that is how new legends are born. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what's funny? People say, show me your friends, and I'll tell you who you are. But I say, show me your group chat, and I'll tell you your future. Because if your circle's last 5 messages are memes, gossip, and bro, I'm so tired, then congratulations, you've already predicted your next 5 years. Ladies and gentlemen, the truth hurts, but your circle shapes your destiny quietly, like background music. You don't even notice it, but it's controlling the rhythm of your life. I used to hang out with people who thought working hard was a disease. If you started studying, they'd say, bro, relax, life is short. If you said you wanted to save money, they'd say, what's the point? We'll all die anyway. These people could find negativity in a sunrise. And the funny part, they weren't bad people. They were just comfortable. Comfortable being average, comfortable complaining, comfortable doing nothing. And you sit there long enough, you start catching their habits like a cold. Because habits are contagious. You hang around 5 complainers, you become the 6th. You hang around 5 workers, you start waking up early without even realizing it. You don't decide to change, you absorb it. I remember one of my friends. We used to joke that his alarm clock was useless, because no matter what time it rang, he'd still wake up at noon. And guess what? Slowly I started waking up later too. Not because I wanted to, but because that was normal in my group. That's the dangerous thing. When the wrong habits become normal. When being broke becomes funny. When procrastination becomes personality. When laziness becomes lifestyle. Then one day, I met a guy totally different. No fancy clothes, no big talk, just focused. We'd meet, and instead of gossip, he'd talk about goals, books, new ideas, side hustles. At first I thought, bro, chill. Why are you so serious all the time? But after a few weeks, I started noticing something weird. I couldn't go back to my old circle. Suddenly, their jokes didn't feel funny anymore. Their conversations felt small, and I realized that's growth. When you stop laughing at the things that used to waste your time, look around you. If your circle celebrates your excuses more than your progress, you're not in a circle, you're in a cage. Your friends can either be your elevator or your anchor. And most people don't even know which one they're holding on to. You ever see those groups where one person says, let's start something, and the rest go, you will see? That's how dreams die. Not from failure, but from slow discouragement. A small ew every day until you stop trying. I'm not saying you need to cut everyone off. I'm saying upgrade the conversations. If your group chat never talks about goals, money, growth, or learning, then maybe it's time to start a new one. Because you don't need to find smarter friends. You just need to find friends who want to get smarter. You know, I once realized something crazy. People don't change you directly. They just normalize things around you. If your circle spends every weekend partying, it becomes normal. If they spend it reading, working, learning, that becomes normal too. The only difference is what your group calls fun. And that's dangerous, because your normal decides your next 10 years. I had a friend once who said, bro, money isn't everything. And I said, yeah, but being broke isn't everything either. He used to make fun of people saving money, called them misers. Meanwhile, his version of financial planning was hoping for discounts. It's funny we say we want success, but we hang around people allergic to effort. We want a billionaire mindset, but we spend 4 hours a day talking to people who don't even believe it's possible. That's like wanting to lose weight while living in a donut shop. You see, success doesn't come from motivation, it comes from environment. Put a motivated person in a lazy group and he'll slow down. Put a lazy person in a focused group and he'll start changing. The circle wins every time. I once heard a story about 2 childhood friends. One became a millionaire, the other stayed stuck. When they met years later, the successful one said, we both had dreams. The only difference is I stayed around people who believed theirs. That hit me hard. Because sometimes your dream doesn't fail. It just suffocates in the wrong company. You ever notice how your energy changes depending on who you talk to? There's that one friend, you talk for 10 minutes and you're ready to conquer the world. Then there's the other. 10 minutes with them and you need a nap. Same time, different result. That's not coincidence. That's energy transfer. Even your language changes. Start hanging out with people who complain a lot. You'll start saying, it's not my fault more. Hang with people who take responsibility. You'll start saying, I'll fix it. It's that subtle shift that decides your success. And you know what's funny? Sometimes you think you're strong enough to stay the same no matter what. But nobody is immune to energy. Even the sun looks smaller when surrounded by clouds. So ladies and gentlemen, if you ever feel like your life is stuck, don't just ask, what am I doing wrong? Ask, who am I doing it with? Because maybe the problem isn't your dream, it's your group chat. You know what's funny? Most people don't realize they're becoming their circle until it's too late. You start talking like them, joking like them, even dreaming like them. You think you're being yourself, but actually, you're becoming a remix of your 5 closest people. One day you say, I want to start a business. Your circle laughs. Haha, bro, you can't even wake up on time. You laugh with them, but a small part of your dream dies right there. That's how powerful energy is. It doesn't kill you instantly. It just slowly steals your belief. And then there's the opposite kind of circle. The one that scares you a little. You know the friend who's already achieving things. You meet them and start questioning your entire existence. They'll say, I just launched something new, and you're sitting there thinking, I just launched Netflix last night. But those are the friends that wake you up. They make you uncomfortable in the best way. Because being around people who are ahead of you doesn't make you small, it stretches you. They make you realize how much more you can do without even saying a word. I remember when one of my friends got serious about fitness. Every time we'd hang out, he'd order grilled chicken and water, and I'd be there with my burger and Coke, trying to look confident like, yeah bro, I'm bulking. But deep down, I knew I was just making excuses. After a few weeks, I started eating better, not because he forced me, but because I couldn't keep being the only lazy one in the room. That's the magic of a good circle. They don't change you by force, they change you by example. They make you level up naturally, without judgment, without pressure. And let's be honest, sometimes the people closest to us are not bad. They just don't have the same hunger. They're comfortable where they are, and that's okay. But if you want a different life, you can't keep matching their pace. It's like being in a car with friends going nowhere. They're laughing, music's playing, everyone's chill, but deep down you know this road doesn't lead to your dream. You can love them, laugh with them, but you gotta step out of the car when your stop comes. Because your future isn't built by love alone, it's built by alignment. The people you spend time with every day quietly become the architects of your destiny. They're either designing your future or destroying it without realizing. So ask yourself today, if I keep hanging with the same 5 people, where will I be 5 years from now? And if that picture doesn't excite you, maybe it's time to redraw it. You know, one of the hardest parts of growth isn't changing your habits, it's changing your circle. Because when you start improving, people don't clap first, they question you. They say, bro, you've changed. Of course I did. I was broke, lazy, and confused. What do you want me to stay? The brand ambassador of bad decisions. See, growth looks like betrayal to people who've stopped growing. They take it personally when you start doing better. You wake up early. Oh, now you think you're better than us? You stop gossiping? Oh, he's acting like a saint now. No, I'm just tired of repeating the same year over and over. And that's the trap. We keep shrinking ourselves just to fit into circles that no longer fit our vision. We laugh at jokes that don't make sense anymore, pretend to enjoy conversations that drain us just because we don't want to be that guy who changed. But listen carefully. Growth always looks lonely before it looks inspiring. When you start improving, people disappear. But that's not rejection, that's filtration. The wrong people will slowly fade away when the right version of you shows up. It's like leveling up in a game. You don't lose friends, you just move to a new map. And guess what? Not everyone bought the same upgrade. I had a friend once who got upset because I started saying no to random hangouts. He said, bro, you're always busy now. And I said, yeah, because I'm finally doing something with my time. You can't spend your whole life being available for people who aren't available for your growth. The right circle won't compete with you. They'll correct you. They'll say things like, bro, stop wasting time. Hey, you said you were going to start that thing. Why haven't you? They push you because they care, not because they're jealous. You ever notice the difference between fake support and real support? Fake support says, bro, that's cool. Real support says, bro, let's make it better. And listen, you don't have to find perfect people. Just find people who want progress more than comfort. People who talk about ideas, not just about others. People who make you feel tired of wasting time, not tired of trying. Because the truth is, your future is not waiting for luck, it's waiting for the right environment. And that environment starts with your circle. One real friend who pushes you forward is better than 10 who keep you comfortable. So don't be afraid when your old circle doesn't understand you anymore. They weren't supposed to. They were only meant for the version of you that wanted to fit in, not the one who wants to stand out. You know, people always ask, how do I change my life? And I always say, start by changing who you have lunch with. Because your future is basically a group project, and guess what? Not everyone's doing their part. You can't expect millionaire results when your team's main topic is bro. Did you see that meme? It's crazy. We plan vacations better than we plan our friend circle. We'll research hotels, flights, prices, but never once ask, is this person actually helping me grow? Let me give you an example. You ever tell your friend an idea and they immediately become your lawyer? Bro, it's risky. Bro, what if it doesn't work? Bro, what if people laugh? And I'm like, bro, what if it does work? You're scared of failing. I'm scared of staying the same. Meanwhile, you tell the same idea to a growth-minded person and they'll say, okay, what's the first step? How can I help? Same sentence, completely different energy. I once had two groups at the same time. Group A. Every time we met, it was about movies, games, and food. Group B. Every time we met, it was ideas, side hustles, investments, future plans. Guess which one made me feel alive? And guess which one made me feel like I was stuck in a loop? The funny part, when I started spending more time with Group B, Group A said, bro, you're acting different now. I said, exactly. That's the point. Because if you hang around people who do nothing for long enough, you start thinking nothing is an activity. And here's the thing. You don't have to cut everyone off. Just change the ratio. Spend less time with people who drain you and more with those who challenge you. You can love your old friends, but you don't need to copy their lifestyle. It's like a phone charger. Some people recharge you. Some people drain you faster than Instagram Reels at 2 a.m. And let's be honest. If you're always the one saying, let's do something productive, you're not in a circle. You're in a daycare. Ladies and gentlemen, your circle is the invisible hand that shapes your destiny. You don't even realize it, but every joke, every opinion, every piece of advice from your friends is quietly programming your future. If your group talks about people, you'll stay stuck with people. If your group talks about ideas, you'll build something. If your group talks about money, you'll learn to make it. And if your group talks about nothing, well, you'll master nothing perfectly. So choose carefully. Because 5 years from now, you'll either say, I made it with my friends, or I would have made it if I had better ones. Your circle decides which one that sentence becomes. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends. Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a brutal truth. Fear is the only enemy that lives inside your head and still charges you rent. It doesn't knock, it doesn't ask permission, it just moves in, sits on your dreams, eats your confidence, and tells you, relax, we'll start tomorrow. And the crazy part? Most people listen to it. People think fear is harmless. They say things like, I'm not scared, I'm just waiting for the right time. My situation is a little different, I'll start when I feel ready. My friend, nobody feels ready. Even your phone isn't ready half the time. It needs updates every 2 days. If your phone waited to feel ready, you'd still be stuck on Android 2.0. You ever notice how people can watch a 12-episode Netflix series in one night, but they don't have time to start the thing that could change their life? They say, I'll start next week. Next week becomes next month. Next month becomes after holidays. Then, after the wedding season. Then suddenly, it's been 3 years, and the only thing that has grown is their fear and their stomach. And the funniest part, fear always comes with confidence. Fear doesn't whisper, it speaks like a motivational speaker. What if you fail? What if people laugh? What if you start and then have to continue? What if aliens invade during your first step? Fear creates problems that don't even exist. Let me give you an example that no one talks about. Mr. Beast. People see his insane videos now, but when he started, he made content in his bedroom with a mic that sounded like he recorded it underwater. He didn't wait for perfect lighting or perfect confidence. He simply started. Meanwhile, some people are waiting for the perfect ring light before they even record their first sentence. Or take Virat Kohli. Not the champion we know today, the young chubby guy who walked into the Indian team with zero guarantees. He didn't know if he'd even survive his first year. But he moved anyway. And that one decision changed cricket. Fear wants you to delay. Courage wants you to start. Fear says, what if it doesn't work? Reality says, what if it works better than you ever imagined? Let me share a super relatable one. I once asked a guy, why don't you apply for the job you want? He said, I don't have the perfect CV. I asked, bro, what's wrong with it? He said, there is a small typo. A typo, my friend, even your life has typos. You think a hiring manager will reject you because you wrote manger instead of manager? Fix it and send it. But fear made him rewrite the CV for 6 months. By the time he applied, the company had changed the whole department. That's what fear costs you. Opportunities that had your name on them. Fear is not just a feeling. It's a world-class storyteller. It takes a simple idea and turns it into a Hollywood disaster movie inside your head. You try to take one small step, start a project, learn a skill, send an email, and suddenly your brain goes, what if it fails? What if people laugh? What if everyone judges me? Everyone? My friend, people can't even remember where they kept their own keys. You think they're analyzing your entire life? Fear exaggerates everything. You make one tiny mistake at work, and fear says, congratulations, your career is over. Relax. Most people don't even notice. Everyone is too busy handling their own problems. Let me show you how fear steals opportunities. I knew someone who wanted to start an online business. He had the website, the products, the whole plan, but he never launched. Why? Because he said, what if nobody buys on day one? Day one. Nobody wins on day one. Not athletes, not entrepreneurs, not creators. Day one is for starting, not succeeding. 3 months later, someone else launched the same idea and it blew up. Fear didn't just cost him money, it cost him his moment. This happens everywhere. People avoid the gym because they think others are watching them. Trust me, nobody is watching. Everyone in the gym is suffering through their own workout. Nobody has spare energy to judge you. People avoid speaking English because they're scared of mispronouncing a word. Listen, even fluently, English speakers mess up words all the time. Everybody makes mistakes. That's how you learn. Fear makes mistakes look like disasters. But in reality, mistakes are simply progress, wearing a different outfit. Here's another truth. Fear gets loud right before your life is about to change. Right before a big decision, fear becomes the expert in your mind. Think twice. Be realistic. Don't take risks. But have you noticed? Fear only advises you to stay exactly where you are. Fear hates growth. Someone once said, you don't fear the unknown, you fear losing the known, and that explains everything. People stay in jobs they don't like, stay in routines that drain them, stay in comfort zones that don't even feel comfortable. Not because they want to, but because fear convinces them that staying the same is safer. The moment you take even the smallest step, fear shrinks. Fear has one mission, to keep you exactly where you are. Not because it hates you, but because it doesn't know who you could become if you moved. Fear is like an outdated GPS. It keeps saying, return to the safe route, even when that route leads nowhere. But let's be honest. The safe route is the reason so many people feel stuck. Think about it. Most people don't fail because they tried. They fail because they never tried. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect feeling, the perfect confidence. But confidence doesn't magically appear. Confidence is built by doing the thing you're scared of. You don't get confidence first. You get it after. Let me tell you a story that almost everyone can relate to. I once met a young woman who wanted to start posting her photography online. She had talent, real talent, but she didn't post. Why? People might not like it. I said, people don't even like posts from their own friends. They scroll past everything. Nobody is waiting to judge you. She laughed, but she still didn't post. 6 months later, another girl started posting similar content. Not better, just consistent. And today, she's building a career. The first girl still has the same photos and the same fear. Fear didn't just cost her likes, it cost her progress. Let's talk about something everyone understands. Dreams expire when you take too long to start them. Not because they get old, but because you lose the energy you once had for them. How many people say, one day I'll write a book, one day I'll start my business, one day I'll launch my idea, and then one day becomes 5 years, and the idea quietly dies in their notes app. Here's the twist. It's not that they didn't have time, it's that fear convinced them to wait. And while they waited, life moved on. Let me give you a global example. Airbnb. When the founders pitched their idea, people said, are you crazy? Strangers will never stay in other people's homes. If fear had won that day, travel would be completely different today. A multi-billion-dollar company, gone before it even started. Another example, Spotify. People said, no one will pay for music streaming. It'll never work. Imagine if the founders listened. Today, half the world listens to music through a service that almost didn't exist because of fear-based opinions. Here's what this teaches us. Fear feels big when your vision is small. But when your vision gets bigger, fear looks tiny. You are not scared because you're weak. You're scared because you haven't seen how powerful you can be. And the only way to discover that version of yourself is is to do the one thing fear hates, take action. Even when you're scared. ChatGPT, TikTok, Tesla, Spotify, none of these were safe ideas at first. People said they were stupid, unrealistic, impossible. If fear won, half the innovations you use every single day wouldn't exist. Have you ever noticed how fear shows up at the weirdest times? Not during the big moments, but during the small ones. Like ordering food online. You scroll through the menu for 10 minutes, fear whispering, what if they get my order wrong? What if it's too spicy? What if it arrives late? Meanwhile, your stomach is starving. And somehow, you end up eating instant noodles because fear protected you from a potential spicy disaster. Even billionaires deal with this in small ways. Take Elon Musk. He once admitted he was terrified of launching rockets in the beginning. He almost quit SpaceX after a few failures, but he didn't. Why? Because fear wasn't going to run his life while the universe was waiting for him to try. Fear is weird like that. It loves to make small problems feel like life or death crises. Your mind will exaggerate, multiply, and replay what-ifs like a bad Netflix series. We are scared of asking a question in a meeting, but we are not scared of binge-watching a scary movie alone. We are experts at ignoring danger when it's fun, but fear makes us overthink things that actually matter. And here's the truth. The bigger your dream, the stranger fear gets. It doesn't just whisper. It starts writing scripts, creating alternative realities, painting doom scenes, all in vivid HD. You know what stops it? A simple, stubborn decision. I don't care what could go wrong, I'm doing it anyway. Fear hates action. It despises movement. It crumbles when you actually do the thing it warned you against. Even ordinary people have these moments. The friend who finally applied for that dream job despite feeling unqualified. The student who spoke up in class for the first time. The stranger who said hi instead of overthinking. All of them stepped over fear's ridiculous imaginary barricades. So here's the thing. Fear will always be there. It's sneaky, tricky, ridiculous, and sometimes hilarious. But the only thing it can't survive is your choice to move. So ask yourself, if strangers can change the world with ideas people laughed at, why can't you change your own life with the idea you keep doubting? Now let's be honest. Fear has been running your life quietly for too long. It's been in your ear, in your messages, in your mind, and maybe, just maybe, you didn't even notice it. But here's the truth. Fear only has power if you give it power. Look at every person you admire. Not just billionaires or celebrities, but people in your city, your neighborhood, even your school or workplace. They were scared too. They just didn't let fear make the decisions for them. The young man who applied for a job he didn't feel ready for and got it. The woman who finally posted her artwork online and got her first client. The student who raised their hand in class and inspired someone else to do the same. Fear wants to stop you, but life rewards the people who act anyway. And here's the funniest truth. The things you're scared of usually aren't as scary as your mind makes them. The problems you imagine rarely happen. And the people judging you, most are too busy worrying about themselves. It's ironic. The thing that's been holding you back is usually invisible, harmless, and laughably wrong. Here's your challenge. Tomorrow or today or right now, do one thing your fear doesn't want you to do. It doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just start. Just move. Because every time you move despite fear, you grow stronger. Every time you try, even if you fail, you win experience. Every step you take, fear gets smaller, and your confidence grows. Let me leave you with this. Your future isn't waiting for you to feel ready. Your future is waiting for you to stop listening to fear and start moving. So go ahead. Take that first step, send that message, post that video, pitch that idea. Stand up, speak out, take the risk. Because the only thing worse than fear is realizing one day you let it control your entire life. The world doesn't reward perfection. The world rewards courage. And you were born to move. So laugh at fear, ignore the doubt, and go take what's waiting for you. Your life is bigger than your fear. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends. Let me tell you something. Most people don't fail in life because they are unlucky. They fail because they never make real decisions. You see, decisions shape your destiny. Every millionaire, every successful person, every happy person, they are simply the result of a few right decisions made consistently. But most people, they wake up, go to work, complain, scroll Instagram, eat, sleep, and repeat. Their whole life is on autopilot. Let me ask you, have you ever realized how we spend hours choosing what to eat, but almost no time choosing what kind of life we want to live? People say, "What's for dinner?" 1,000 times. But they never ask, "What's my direction?" When I was young, I used to think success was about intelligence. No, it's not. It's about decisions. Because decisions force you to grow. You can be average your whole life if you keep deciding nothing. But the moment you decide to be different, your story changes. The first decision that will change your life forever is this. Decide to take responsibility for your life. Now, I know that sounds simple, but 90% of people never make that decision. They always blame the system, the boss, the parents, the economy, the weather, the government, their cat, their stars, everything. When they fail, they say, "Because of him." When they succeed, they say, "Because of me." One day, a young man came to me and said, "Sir, I want to be rich." I said, "Good. What are you doing for it?" He said, "I'm waiting for an opportunity." I said, "Then keep waiting. Opportunity also waiting for people who are doing something." The truth is, when you take responsibility, you take power. When you blame others, you give that power away. Let me give you a funny but true example. When a student fails an exam, what's the first thing they say? "The paper was too hard." Never. "I didn't study." When an employee gets fired, what do they say? "The boss doesn't like me." Never. "Maybe I was lazy." This mindset is poison. You can't grow with it. You know, when I was young, I was rejected from jobs again and again. I didn't say, "This world is unfair." I said, "Maybe I need to improve myself." Because complaining doesn't change your life, decisions do. If you keep blaming, you stay where you are. If you take responsibility, life starts moving. Think about this. If your life is a car, you are the driver. But most people are sitting in the passenger seat, shouting at the traffic, blaming the rain, blaming the map, and wondering why they never reach anywhere. Stop giving the steering wheel of your life to someone else. Your parents, your teachers, your boss, they can guide you, but they cannot drive for you. And yes, when you take responsibility, it will hurt at first, because suddenly you can't blame anymore. You can't hide anymore. You have to face the truth. My life is in my hands. But the moment you do that, something magical happens. You stop being a victim. You become the creator. So my friend, if you are broke, if you are lost, if you are confused, it's okay. But stop saying it's someone else's fault. Decide today, whatever my situation is, I own it. Because when you own it, you can fix it. You can't control what happens to you, but you can always control how you respond. And this first decision to take responsibility is the seed of every success story. You can't build an empire if you still think someone else is responsible for your failure. You can't fly if you still think someone else cut your wings. So from today, when things go wrong, don't ask why me. Ask what can I do now? Because that's the moment your life starts changing. Now that you've decided to take responsibility for your life, the second decision that will change everything is this. Decide to think long term. Let me tell you a secret. Most people destroy their future because they want everything now. They want success like instant noodles, 2 minutes and done. They want money fast, fame fast, results fast. But when life gets slow, they give up. You see, the world today has made everyone impatient. You order food, if it's 5 minutes late, you're angry. You post a picture, if it doesn't get 50 likes in 10 minutes, you delete it. You start a business, if it doesn't work in 3 months, you say, maybe this is not for me. But all great things take time. A tree takes years to grow before it gives fruit. A diamond takes years of pressure before it shines. And success, it takes a decade before the world calls you lucky. Let me ask you, do you remember the first time you went to the gym? You looked in the mirror after one workout and said nothing changed. Of course nothing changed. But if you go every day for a year, the mirror will say, hello, new life. The problem is, we don't stay long enough to see the results of our decisions. I once met a young guy who said, "Sir, I started a YouTube channel. I uploaded 3 videos. No views, I quit." I said, "Then you didn't start a YouTube channel, you just did an experiment. You can't grow if you keep restarting every month." Life rewards consistency, not curiosity. Most people are curious about success. Only a few are consistent with success. Let me tell you a funny story. One man planted a seed. After 3 days, he saw no tree. He dug it up to check if it's growing. He killed it with his impatience. That's what most of us do. We dig up our dreams every week to check if it's working. If you want a life that lasts, think long term. You want a good relationship, think long term. You want real money, think long term. You want freedom, think long term. Because short-term people chase comfort. Long-term people chase growth. Comfort says, sleep a little more. Growth says, wake up, let's go. Comfort says, buy that new phone now. Growth says, invest that money and buy freedom later. When I was younger, I used to compare myself with people who were already successful. I thought, why are they ahead of me? Now I realize they just started earlier and stayed longer. That's it. No magic. So many people quit right before the breakthrough. They dig a well 9 feet deep and stop when water is at 10. The truth is, the people who win are not the smartest. They are simply the ones who stay in the game longer. When you think long term, failures don't scare you anymore. Because you know, it's just a small chapter, not the whole story. Think about this. If you go to the gym today and your muscles hurt tomorrow, it's not pain, it's progress. But if you think short term, you'll say, it hurts, I quit. If you think long term, you'll say, good, it's working. That's how champions think. They don't run for 100 meters, they run marathons. You see, time is your biggest weapon if you use it right, but it's also your biggest enemy if you waste it on shortcuts. So my friend, stop looking for quick success. Stop saying, I want to be rich next year. Start saying, I want to be valuable in the next 10 years. Because the moment you think long term, you stop chasing and start building. And when you start building, no one can take it away from you. In life, the difference between a temporary win and a lifelong success is patience. If you can wait, you can win. If you can stay, you can grow. If you can be patient, the world will be impatient to work with you. So decide today, no more quick results, no more shortcuts, no more next month I'll quit. Decide to think long term, because real success is not fast. It's forever. So you've decided to take responsibility. You've decided to think long term. Now comes the third decision. And honestly, this one separates the dreamers from the doers. Decide to choose the right people around you. Let me tell you something. Your environment is stronger than your motivation. You can be the most positive person in the world. But if you sit with 5 complainers, you'll start complaining too. If you sit with 5 people who gossip, you'll become the 6th. If you sit with 5 broke people, you'll soon wonder where your money went. But if you sit with 5 learners, 5 doers, 5 builders, your entire mindset changes. You know, people often ask, how do I stay motivated? I say, simple. Don't hang out with people who kill your motivation every day. I once told a young guy, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. He laughed and said, sir, my friends are just for fun. I said, then your future will also be just for fun. Listen carefully. Your circle decides your ceiling. If you're surrounded by people who only talk about others, you'll never have energy left to build yourself. You can't expect to grow if you spend your nights talking about who got a new iPhone instead of how to create your own success story. It's funny. People say they want to be lions, but they keep playing with sheep. And then they wonder why they're tired, why they're lost, why they're not growing. You want to know a secret? Sometimes your life doesn't need more motivation. It just needs fewer wrong people. I remember one of my friends back in the day. Every time I shared a new idea, he said, it won't work. New plan? Impossible. New dream? Be realistic. And for a long time, I believed him. Until one day, I realized his opinion was not my destiny. When you spend too long with negative people, their doubts sound like truth. But when you spend time with dreamers, their hope sounds like possibility. You can't control who you meet, but you can control who you keep. And trust me, that one decision can save you 10 years of pain. Let me give you a relatable example. Imagine you're trying to lose weight, and your friends say, come on, one burger won't hurt. Then another says, bro, one more drink. Enjoy life. After 3 months, you're not enjoying life. You're expanding life. That's what happens when you're in the wrong circle. Your goals die slowly, and you don't even notice. So surround yourself with people who clap when you win and guide you when you fail. People who talk about ideas, not people. People who see your potential, not your past. And please, don't keep people in your life just because of history. Keep them because of alignment. Someone who walked with you in school may not walk with you in success, and that's okay. Growth requires separation sometimes. It's not about hating anyone. It's about protecting your peace. If your dream is a fire, protect it from the rain of negativity. When I look back, every major breakthrough in my life came after I changed my circle. Not because I found smarter people, but because I found people who believed more, tried more, failed more, and still kept going. You see, we become who we talk to every day. So if you want to change your life, change your conversations. Talk less about people, more about purpose. Less about problems, more about progress. And one last thing, if you can't find inspiring people around you, be the first one. Be the one who talks about dreams, not drama. Because energy is contagious, and leadership starts with one person deciding, I'll go first. So from today, make this decision. I will build my circle, not just hang in one. I will choose people who lift me up, not pull me down. Because the quality of your life will always depend on the quality of your people. So far, we've talked about taking responsibility, thinking long-term, and choosing the right people. Now comes the fourth decision, and this one decides whether you'll stay ordinary or become unstoppable. Decide to keep learning no matter what. Now I know you've heard people say, never stop learning 1,000 times. But very few people actually do it. Most people stop learning the day they stop going to school. After that, they don't learn. They complain. They say, the world has changed. No, my friend, you stopped changing. Let me tell you, the biggest mistake people make after their 20s is thinking they already know enough. They say, I've got a degree, I'm done. Done? The world is just getting started. Do you know what's funny? We upgrade our phones every year, but we don't upgrade our minds in 10. You'll see someone using the latest iPhone, but their mindset is still from 2010. They say, why am I not successful? Because success needs a software update too. The truth is, the world doesn't pay you for what you knew. It pays you for what you're learning. You stop learning, you stop growing. And when you stop growing, you start complaining. I remember a friend who used to say, I don't read books, I don't like learning, I just want to make money. 5 years later, his company died. Why? Because his competitors learned faster than him. You see, learning is not just about reading books. It's about being curious every day. It's about asking, how can I do this better? A mechanic who keeps learning will one day own the workshop. A teacher who keeps learning will one day start a school. But a person who stops learning will one day start envying others. And please understand, education and learning are not the same. Education gives you information. Learning gives you transformation. One comes from school, the other comes from life. And life will test you again and again to see if you're learning or just pretending. You lost money once? Did you learn the lesson or just the pain? You failed in love? Did you learn about people or just built walls? You got rejected? Did you learn how to improve or just how to complain? Because every situation in life is a free course if you're willing to learn. Let me give you a funny example. I once met a guy who said, Sir, I want to start a business. I asked, do you read about business? He said, no, I watch motivational videos. I said, that's like saying you want to be fit, but you only watch gym videos. Learning is not watching, it's doing, failing, and trying again. You don't need to know everything. You just need to be willing to learn anything. You see, successful people are not smarter, they are more curious. When something new comes, they don't say, this is hard. They say, how does this work? Curiosity is the real superpower. You know, I once heard a line that changed my life. The day you think you're too good to learn is the day you start becoming irrelevant. Because life keeps moving. Technology keeps moving. The world keeps moving. And if you stop learning, life will move without you. So my friend, no matter where you are, keep learning. Learn from books, from people, from mistakes, from pain, from failure. Everything has a lesson if you have eyes to see. And don't just learn for money, learn for mastery. Money follows masters, not followers. You know who fails, the person who says, I know enough. You know who wins, the person who says, I still have more to learn. So from today, make this decision. I will be a lifelong student, not of school, but of success. Not of theory, but of life. Because the one who keeps learning never stops winning. You've decided to take responsibility. You've decided to think long term. You've decided to choose the right people. You've decided to keep learning. Now comes the most powerful decision of all. Decide to never give up. Let me tell you, life is not easy. It will hit you, confuse you, disappoint you, test you, and just when you think you've made it, it will test you again. There will be days when you'll question everything, your dreams, your worth, even your sanity. And in those moments, one decision will define your future. The decision to keep going. You see, everyone is brave when things are easy. But the real courage is when everything goes wrong and you still whisper to yourself, I'll try again tomorrow. Success is not built on talent. It's built on stubbornness, the kind of stubbornness that says, I don't care how many times I fail, I'm not done yet. Let me share a small story. A man once asked a gold miner, how do you know when to stop digging? The miner said, when I find gold. But what if it's not there? The miner smiled, then I'll die digging. That's the mindset. Because most people don't lose to failure. They lose to quitting. You know, I failed so many times in my life that if failure were a school, I'd have a PhD. And every failure taught me something that comfort never could. You see, comfort teaches you nothing. Failure teaches you everything. You fall, you learn, you fail, you grow, you break, you rebuild. But only if you decide not to quit. I've seen so many talented people give up just because it was taking too long. But nobody claps for you in the middle. They clap at the end. So don't stop in the middle just because it's quiet. When you plant a seed, there's silence for months before a leaf appears. That silence is not death, it's growth underground. So if your life feels quiet right now, maybe your roots are growing. I once met a man who said, I've been trying for years. Nothing is working. I told him, maybe you're not failing. Maybe life is testing your patience. Because life gives success to the one who proves they're serious. Let me give you a funny example. Imagine you're ordering pizza online. You place the order, and after 2 minutes, you cancel because it's taking too long. That's how most people treat success. They order it, but they don't wait for delivery. The truth is, great things take time. And that's why most people never see them. They quit before they arrive. But here's the beauty. Every failure, every rejection, every sleepless night, every heartbreak, it's building something inside you. Something stronger than success. Character. And character is the foundation that holds your success when it finally comes. Because if success comes too early, without pain, it disappears just as fast. But when you earn it after struggle, it becomes part of who you are. So never be ashamed of your scars. Scars mean you tried when others gave up. Scars mean you survived. Scars mean you didn't quit. And remember, you can rest, you can cry, you can doubt. But don't you ever quit. Because sometimes the light at the end of the tunnel isn't far, it's just one more step away. I know people who failed 10 times and gave up. I also know people who failed 100 times and won once. And that one win changed their entire life. Nobody remembers how many times you fell. They only remember that you stood up one more time. So from today, make this final decision. No matter what happens, I will not quit. Because the world doesn't need more perfect people. It needs more people who refuse to give up. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to be the richest. You just need to be the one who keeps standing. Because in the end, it's not the biggest tree that survives the storm. It's the one that bends, breaks, and still keeps growing. So when life gets hard, smile. Say to yourself, I've come too far to only come this far. And remember these 5 decisions. Take responsibility, think long term, choose the right people, keep learning, and never ever give up. Because if you can make these 5 decisions, you won't just change your life, you'll change your future, your family, and maybe even the world. Thank you for listening, and don't forget to like and subscribe, my friends.